Nobody 2 is now out on digital. Once again, it's following around Bob Odenkirk's Hutch, who's in the middle of paying off a $30 million debt through various hit jobs when he decides, you know what, he needs a break. So he takes his family to his version of Wally World, basically. It's called Plummerville. But as they like to tell him, wherever he goes, there he is, meaning trouble follows him like a magnet. And true enough, trouble is brewing at this amusement park, which is doubling as some kind of bootlegging thing, operated by the ever-ruthless Lendina, played by Sharon Stone. And by the end of the day, Hutch will need a vacation from his vacation. So I've been waiting for this movie ever since I saw the very first movie 4 years ago when it first came out. That was a pretty big moment for me because Universal Pictures quoted me in one of their widely produced trailers for Nobody. If I'm not mistaken, that was my very first ever pull quote. I didn't know what to expect from a sequel though, because sometimes the second movie in a franchise is often seen as the worst movie in a franchise, but I'm not sure, Nobody 2 has the same type of energy of the first movie. Has its same sense of humor, the same characters, high octane action, and overall structure of Nobody. In a lot of ways, it feels identical, other than maybe having the mask of a theme park for a setting, and that allowed the film to have a lighter tone, I think, than its predecessor. You can take that as a good thing or a bad thing, doesn't really matter. I just personally think that the theme park allowed for a literal and a figurative playground for our assassins to play, turning it into kind of a high-stakes Home Alone type of setup, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, the film plays to some pretty common tropes found in action films, particularly action sequels. That is, the hero is on vacation and they're pulled back into the madness. The idea being that you don't get to have a break, right? Action movies just love to ruin their characters' vacations, and I'm not entirely sure why. It's kind of a risk to change up the setting. And the main drawback for Nobody 2 is that the tone gets to be pretty goofy at times. It's a family vacation, so there's way more kids around at any given moment. In the very beginning of the movie, there's a fight sequence in an arcade, and it's hilarious because Hutch is beating a man senseless with a whack-a-mole mallet. Again, very funny, silly, very light, almost like what you would see Jackie Chan do in some earlier movies. But it doesn't always match the tone of the rest of the movie when things might get a little bit darker or gorier. Still, the action is just as top-notch and adrenaline-fueled as it was last time around. The choreography is intense, filled with high-octane delivery, as well as silly and almost purposefully awkward moments with Bob Odenkirk's everyman persona, which has always worked really, really well for this character and the film series as a whole. I appreciated the inclusion, once again, with Christopher Lloyd as Hutch's pops and RZA's in the film, as well as his brother, all together forming the trio of family assassins. And Sharon Stone in the movie as well. She did a great job in her villainous role. I haven't seen her in a long while, and she still did a great job. Narratively, though, I think the movie's weak, as I'm pretty sure nothing changed from beginning to end. Yeah, we throw a lot of bad guys, aka bogeys, at Bob Odenkirk's character to beat to a pulp, and that's great, but past that, if you're really paying attention, the part of the movie that connects it to the first is that Hutch screwed up in the last movie. Now he's in this contractual obligation to carry out hit job after hit job to pay off his $30 million debt. And he pauses that essentially to go on vacation. That $30 million debt story is the real meat and potatoes though, right? That is where character depth and development lie. That is where change can ultimately occur if Hutch goes against the company who has their nails dug deep into his life, right? But instead he takes a vacation. And the entire movie is just a fun-filled, action-oriented, fight-heavy film that in essence doesn't do anything to the overall story. It ends as it began. He's still in the same debt, he just has a couple more bruises. That's problematic. If you can watch movie 1, and if they make it movie 3, and you can skip the second one altogether, then there was some kind of misstep in the writing department, because that's exactly what you have here. It's not the worst sequel in the world, but certainly it's more average than I think it probably should have been. I'm going to give this a score of 73 out of 100 possible stars. For me, that's a C letter grade. If you go back to my original score for Nobody 1, you would have seen that I scored that movie 88%. That would have been an A- letter grade. Just to kind of give you some comparison, because 88% was a recommendation. Hence the quote that Universal used, saying it was a must-watch. I won't be saying that for Nobody 2. I will be saying it's entertaining, it's a good time, it is totally watchable and enjoyable, but past that, it is kind of pointless. But what about you guys though? Have you seen Nobody 2? Do you agree with me? Do you actually think that the movie had a point? Do you think it's going to connect to the overall picture? Did I miss something? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review, whenever and whatever that may be on. And until then, peace out.